I think this time I might have girl bossed a little bit too close to the sun. Come here. I got an email inviting me to talk at the Civil Service Climate and Environment Conference 2025. And past me said, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds amazing. So fun. It's tomorrow and I hate past me. Who the hell does she think she is? But turns out, when you're a professional, you said you're going to go in and give a talk, you have to go and give a talk. So I need your help working out what to wear. Now, if you don't know, civil service, it's the government. It's the people. Actually, what is the civil service? It's not that I don't know. I just can't explain it to people who don't know. Is that deep knowledge? Is that deep British knowledge? In the UK, the civil service is the permanent bureaucracy that supports the government, implementing policies and providing services to the public while remaining politically impartial and accountable to the public. So they want me to tell them about climate communications. That's the what's my talk called? Teach, Talk, Transform, Communicating Climate and Sustainability. I've got a 10-minute talk, and then I'm talking on a panel with 2 or 3 other people, and it's going to be totally fine. I'm a professional. And do you know what professionals wear? Leopard print. Now the question is, what type of leopard print? This one, I made it myself. So there's that on its side. Climate conscious. However, summery, casual. It's not saying conference. Not that any of my clothes say conference, by the way. I think this might be a bit of a futile project. I haven't worked in a professional office environment for 5 years. Even when I did anything but dress appropriately, let's be honest. Okay, dress 2. It's long. Does that make it professional? Definitely makes me look a bit like less of a child. But does it say TED Talk but make it climate? Don't know. Okay, we're running out of options. Option 3. This definitely makes me feel the most like put together, formal. Can I see my bra? Yeah, you can. I could totally wear a cream top underneath it. That's fine. No government on a dead planet. Yeah, it'll be fine. This is good. I think this is the one. It's not perfect, but I don't think anybody sees my internet presence and goes, there's a corporate professional, we'll invite her. Hopefully they know what they've done. And if they don't know what they've done, then they'll just have to lie in the bed they made, I guess. With the earrings, more professional. Instantly. I love these. Thank you for being here today. It'll be fine. I thought I'd take you along for the ride because a problem shared is a problem halved, and an idiot made in public is an idiot made twice if I also put it on the internet. That's just influencer maths, right? Right. I also kind of feel like it's a chance to spy on what these government people are doing. Like, are they doing things? Are they doing things well? Do they have a plan? Time to infiltrate the inside of the government and find out. No, I should probably get a good night's sleep. Why do I do this to myself? Gloriously uneventful train ride, and now I'm walking down Buckle Street, very quaint, in East London to try and find this location, although I think I might be coming up against a dead end. I think this is a dead end. Yeah, that's a dead end, never mind. I'm from here. I have found the place, but I went in the wrong entrance because I remembered I was supposed to go down the speaker's entrance. On the instructions, it gives you like a what 3 words location of where to go in if you're a speaker. And the what 3 words location is Warm Bottom Merit, and that has cheered me up a lot. How are they letting me in here? I'm just 2 10-year-olds in a coat.
just are so fearful of doing the wrong thing that we end up doing nothing. And I talk about how this is actually the unideal state to be in. This is where the shame should be, not in half-assing something, putting half a bum down and trying your best.
Conference completed. I went to some seminars, I learnt some stuff, I sat and ate my sad little lunch alone outside this pub. It was giving Katie Harron in her toilet vibes. Then I did my talk, and I think that went without hitch. I think it was okay. People were very nice about it, and I met some really interesting people. I met some people from the Met Office, I met some people from the Department of Education, and it was all very fun. Also the Department of Crime. That's a thing. Good. And they have a sustainability department. Who knew? So I think we should decompress. Feels like I'm going to decompose when I get home. But before I catch you up on everything that I learned, I need to go to Cubits to get my glasses fixed, and I need to go to a bookshop before I go home, because them's the rules, right? It's been a few days since the conference. After I spoke to you, I ate these absolutely amazing Asian Brussels sprouts that were like weirdly sweet but very good. And then I did catch Libraria at one of my favourite London bookshops just before it closed. So before we go on to the serious climate reflections, obviously I've got to give you a tiny little indie bookshop book haul. I got 2 books. The first one was the one that I was dead set on. This is Grief for the People, and I chose it because it was Libraria's book of the year, and I know they have very, very high standards. And it's about 2 friends, and like one of them dies and the other one has to solve a mystery after they're gone. I'm really, really looking forward to reading that. And then I also bought on a whim, just as I was at the till, I couldn't refuse a premise and a title like this. This is It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over. This is an incredibly surrealist book that is essentially about zombies, which I should have noted when I read the first line before I bought it, which says, "I lost my left arm today. It came off clear at the shoulder. Janice too picked it up and brought it back to the hotel." But I've read the whole thing now, and I don't know whether to recommend it, but it was a really strange, surrealist, like very high literary experience, and there were some moving moments at the end. But that's what I bought. Oh, and Libraria is a shop where they stamp the books when you buy them as well. Oh, amazing. Anyway, how was the climate conference? Am I putting off talking about the climate, even though apparently now I am a professional climate communicator? A little. So the talk went well. Everybody was really nice about it. I managed to meet some lovely people afterwards and speak to them, like people from the Met Office, people from the Department of Education, from the National Crime Agency, I think. I can't share any of those conversations because I'm sure they were confidential, but it was so interesting to hear about all these people who are qualified and care and are in relative positions of power, and that was reassuring in itself. If you're interested in what I spoke about, I had this little like positive panic 8 slide like mini TED talk essentially about climate communication. I talked about the way I package my videos and my motivations behind that and how I don't use green when I'm talking about the environment. I talked about my No Books, No Dead Planet podcast. I talked about my small business positive panic patches. And of course, I spoke about Half-Assed Human, which is slightly secretly, kind of almost accidentally a climate book. Not because I set out to write a climate book, but because I was like, it is dishonest to write about any of these personal improvement topics without talking about the climate. Like literally all roads lead to the climate, so why would I leave it out? So my 3 takeaways for the people in the room were, first, talking about branding and anti-segregation, like resisting the urge to make a separate space to talk about the climate, or to segregate it, or to build an audience around people who only want to talk about the climate, because I feel like those communities already exist and they don't reach as many people as we need them to have an honest conversation about the climate. I think it needs to be integrated into all the existing channels of communication, because that's the reality of where we're at with it. So I talk a little bit about the videos where I've included climate in a way that you might not expect from the packaging, but I think is completely relevant to talk about. I talk about normalizing conversations and why that's important, and how if people can't even eavesdrop on or overhear casual conversations about the climate and have the language for it, then they're never going to talk about it with their communities and their friends. And if they don't talk about it with their communities and their friends, they're very unlikely to act on what they're anxious about. And then finally, permission to half-ass, which I think the civil servants enjoyed the pictures of the bums. There was a ripple of a giggle everywhere when I talked about this idea of not making perfect solutions for perfect people, but planning for imperfectness in everything that you do and making sure that things are still effective, even if people only half get them right. So yeah, that's what I spoke about, and I think it was interesting to hear. I had some really great takeaways from the sessions that I went to. So for example, I went to one on weathering the storm, tackling climate and health impacts. Did you know that we have a national risk register every year, and there is a 2025 edition out at the moment, which the government, like, that's there to think about all the different things that could go wrong this year when it comes to weather and how to tackle that. And it's a great way to like cite, yes, this is real and it's happening now, when you're having conversations with people, because there are actually real world implications happening right now. The people in power need to plan for them. For example, did you know that thunderstorm asthma is a thing? i.e. when we have more thunderstorms, people's asthma is more affected and the load on the NHS becomes very exaggerated because of the thunderstorm. Just another thing to know, think about when you're looking out the window on the bus. Jesus Christ. I went to a talk on environmental behaviours. This was a really interesting stat. 32% of carbon emission reductions by 2035, like our plan for that, rely upon individual households. So when we talk about how it has to be these 100 companies that just make a difference, it is our choices, but we also need to make sure that these choices are possible so that that 32% can happen. But that's like an astonishingly large amount, and that includes stuff like active travel, so walking or cycling, like controlling the heat in your house and insulation and stuff like that as well. But really interesting. And then also this idea of the intention gap. So if you tell the public to do something and it's actually kind of hard to do, or they find there are stumbling blocks to doing it straight away, then we don't create an intention loop where people want to try the next thing that they're told to do if the first thing they're told to do is really inaccessible, or a lie, or like the bin is full, or the recycling thing isn't open, or the app that they're using where it tells you can take this kind of aluminium to this kind of shop to recycle is incorrect. These are behavioural feedback loops that you can break when you don't give people that positive reinforcement and you also expect perfection. So like obviously behavioural science warns against overwhelm and shame, just like my content does as well. And it's not only that it's just like nicer for people to hear and more cheery, it actually genuinely works better. And I'm personally just on the side of things working better. Don't know about you, but I don't think we have time to do things perfectly. So yeah, I came away heartened because we have more people working on it than I often picture, and much more expertise than I think is portrayed when we watch the House of Commons debate, for example, because a lot of those people don't seem like experts. Nay, some of them don't seem educated at all. So it's nice to know that these people are there working on behalf of us, trying to get things through, trying to advise, trying to keep things on the straight and narrow. And the fact that they, you know, they probably are largely completely unsung and unseen by us. So it was an honour to see them and giggle with them and share a cup of tea with them. And it also reminded me of this essay I haven't quoted in a while here, give me a break, I've quoted it before, called Riding the Blinds, which is from Maggie Nelson's On Freedom. So riding the blinds is this like hobo practice, she calls it, of riding the blinds between cars on moving freight trains, like they feature it a lot in like Western films and stuff, as to evade capture by the train crew or police. So when you're riding the blinds, or you're like riding behind one of the freight carriages on a train, you can't see where you're going. You just have to hope that you're hurtling in the right direction and that you're evading the people in power and going in the right direction despite them. The phrase appears often in the blues, that foundational laboratory for allowing any effect to attach to any object, alchemizing pain to sustenance and creating zones of social resistance and therapeutic cognition. See, for example, Robert Johnson. Leaving this morning, I have to ride a blind, babe. I've been mistreated, baby, and I don't mind dying. She says, riding the blinds means you're out of the authority's sight. It also means you can't see where you're headed. Maybe you're on a runaway train heading for a concrete wall. Maybe you're heading for a future that is simply impossible to imagine from the present. Maybe life will be better at the next stop. Maybe it won't be. All care has a tactic, if open-ended, relationship with the future, with fertility, never said that word aloud. Futurity. A future. You feed someone so that they will not grow malnourished. You treat a wound so that it will not become infected. You water seeds in hopes that they will grow. It's not that there is no present in care, nor that caring in the present is invalidated if and when the desired outcome fails to fruit. It's more that in caring, time is folded. One is attending to the effects of the past actions, attempting to mitigate present suffering, and doing what one can do to reduce or obviate future suffering, all at once. Rather than tying ourselves in knots over how much value to assign to the future, or opposing an in-the-moment freedom to a future concerned obligation, or co-signing ourselves to the work of planetary hospice, we might instead recognise that living fully in the present always entails making choices about lessening or increasing future suffering. So this question that always circles my mind, which is it going to be okay? Are we doing enough? Are the people in power doing enough? Is a question I'd like an answer to, but if I am riding the blinds and rebelling and trying to like ride this train through, then I'm not going to be able to see the front of the train, and I have to make peace with that. And also the fact that even if it's not going to be okay, in inverted commas, that's a sliding scale. But like, if it's not going to be okay, if it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that any of this work is futile, that it doesn't matter, that it doesn't also have a present positive impact. So that puts a spring in my step where I feel the world wants to put a little drag. Thank you so much to the civil servants for having me. That was nice. I'm sorry I was a bit silly and I put pictures of bums on your screens. I would love to hear examples that you know about where people in power and people with genuine qualifications and impact are doing good things. I'd love for you to tell us about those below. And this video was made possible by the Gumption Club, who tip me for all the stuff that I make on here for free, especially stuff around the climate. It's really the only way I can make climate content in this creator economy that makes sense and isn't sponsored by big oil or evil people who make a shit ton of plastic. So thank you so much to them. If you're interested in joining the Patreon, I do a weekly podcast that's especially for them, plus loads and loads of other perks like Discord, where we talk a lot about the climate and things that we can do and switch information and inspiration, and it's brilliant. So if you're looking for an online community like that, may I recommend my friends in the Gumption Club. They are all wiser than me. Thank you so much for watching. Frogsnog out.